Mark Noble's farewell on the weekend, and be honest, I was absolutely devastated because as I've sort of mentioned quite a few times, part of my work, I work a lot of weekends. So to maintain my professional life and my West Ham supporting life, I have to do quite a lot of juggling, shift swaps and negotiations with colleagues and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And in my haste, I called in all of my favours throughout the course of West Ham's European campaign to ensure I attended all of the away games, or as many as I could, all the home games as well. And in doing so, just completely lost sight of the fact that the last game of the season was more than the last game of the season. It was going to be Noble's farewell. And by the time I noticed and got round to asking my mate for a swap, he'd already booked himself a little trip down to Cornwall. And he is a Millwall fan. That was nothing to do with it, I don't think. He's normally very accommodating, and he did help me out with... if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to go to Frankfurt. So yeah, he booked a trip down to Cornwall. So I was genuinely, mate, I was devastated and had to sit in the office and work Sunday whilst seeing all the content and images and texts and pictures and all that sort of stuff over social media, online, and from friends and family who are at the game. And I really, even now, I'm delighted with the things I've experienced this season. I'm really gutted about it, so I'm going to have to live it all vicariously through you this evening. You can bring it to life for me, and I'll just sit here and be glad that my pal went and experienced it on behalf of the podcast.
Well, it was... I'm not going to play it down or anything, mate. It was a wonderful send-off for the great man. It really was fitting for not just a player that spent 18 years playing for his boyhood club, but one of us. He's a fan. He's a bit of a cliche, but he is one of us. He said it at the awards that we went to. He said he's pretty much lived the dream of every West Ham fan in the world. And he's right. And we gave him a fantastic send-off. It was emotional. And he's doing his speech. Ben Shepherd's interviewing him on the pitch, and you can hear his voice cracking a little bit. And when he says that I've got my family here, when I say family, I mean 60,000.
Yeah,
that set me off. Bless me. I was like, oh god, don't go, Nobes.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, and obviously the performance and the result certainly helped the occasion be what it was, I think, and it was a very fitting send off for a player that's just been a wonderful servant, a wonderful captain, and a wonderful player, and someone that I really, really hope West Ham do all they can to keep him in some capacity, because I think just off the pitch, professionally, he can be very, very vital to the team, the squad, whether it's the youth team or the first team or whatever moving forward. But the atmosphere was great. The fans turned up and proper gave him a real good send off. And I don't really know what else to say, mate. It was just... It's one of those where I hate to say it, mate. It's one of those where you kind of had to be there.
Yeah.
Really kind of feel the emotion and the atmosphere. And what I will say is fair play to City fans, because there's a little 5-minute thing where he came out before kick-off on his own, before the players come out. They were applauding him. 16th minute, the whole ground stood up and applauded. City fans got involved in that. And there was a small pocket of City fans that stayed behind and watched the ceremony afterwards and clapped.
Yeah.
Got behind. I mean, we said before that West Ham and City have got a bit of a relationship, two sets of fans, but it was particularly nice to see the away fans. Obviously, they got a long journey back on a Sunday afternoon back up to Manchester, but a few of them did hang about and show their respect and their appreciation for one of the last one-club men in football.
One of the finest English midfielders of our generation, you mean?
Yeah, it will always be one of the biggest injustice in English football history that he never got an England cap.
Mate, we'll get onto that. Look, we'll let everyone know what's coming up on the show tonight. We'll do a little Mark Noble segment, I think. We'll look back at that City game, but within that we'll do a little segment to Mark and just all the sort of memories or whatever. And I've got a couple of perler little stats for you as well. So you mentioned it there, then, Jones. You've touched on the Mark Noble stuff already about how emotional it was and how touching it was. So what we'll do, we'll go on to that. in a little while, in a little bit more detail. We'll look back at some stats. I'll ask you for, some of your favourite Mark Noble moments, etc., etc. And we'll just generally talk about him. A couple of the things I say might be a bit controversial, but I don't want anyone to be any doubt that I love him just as much as everyone else. But before we do that, mate, just talk me through then the game. I did watch it quite intently. I was fortunate enough that I just got to sit and take it all in. What are your thoughts on the game as a whole? Were you disappointed with the result? Were you, a fantastic point against hopefully who will be the champions at the end of the season? Just talk me through your feelings. Obviously, we come out the blocks, fantastic start, just a really entertaining game of football, quite frankly. But yeah, talk me through your feelings.
Yeah, it was a really entertaining game of football, and I thought that if that was against any other team squandering a 2-goal lead at home, then I probably would have been a lot more disappointed. But I thought in the grand scheme of things, given the situation Man City are in at the moment, they still could lose the title to Liverpool. It would have done them the world of good to rock up and wipe the floor of us, which they would normally do in years gone past. And I've feared that. I thought I did predict 2-2 in the upper position view last week with Steve. But I did fear in the back of my mind. I thought this could be dangerous.
Clang! That didn't take long, did it?
Yeah, this could be bad.
That subtle little brag.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, it could be a little bit. It could be a little bit bad. But the performance was superb, and as a result, you can't really be that annoyed when you go 2-0 up against Man City, one of the best teams in the world, and only manage a 2-2 draw. So all in all, delighted with the point. It's a good point. Keeps us in the race for the top 6. We do need to rely on Palace to do a favour, and we need to rely on beating Brighton, which we never do. But we're still in it. We're still in it, and it guarantees us European football of some sort next season anyway. So good point.
Well, mate, that is huge, isn't it? I mean, that's perhaps my fault for not mentioning the introduction, but West Ham are playing in Europe again next season.
It's amazing. It's the first time in our history we've qualified for Europe 2 years running via a league position.
Yeah, superb.
That is crazy. It really is crazy. I mean, you consider it's pretty much the same squad 2 years running.
The same threadbare squad.
Yeah, crazy. But I thought the performance, given where at the stage we're in the season, given that it's a threadbare squad, and given the state City you're in and what they're chasing, I think the performance, the attitude, and the result all round was very, very good for us. City weren't at their best, quite clearly.
Yeah,
but we caused them problems. For Antonio was brilliant up front, caused them a lot of problems. Fornals was superb, wonderful assist for the opener.
Yeah,
Bowen was his just usual
clinical
nuisance, running in behind. And it was just a very, very good performance from everyone. I thought it was very, very encouraging going into the last weekend with still loads to play for. Yeah,
no, absolutely, mate. Honestly, I just, it was a strange one. I mean, us racing into the lead, obviously that was like, wow, this is what is going on.
Hang on. Wait, what?
Yeah. All right, so I got some stats to give you in a minute. Controversial thing number one. This isn't Noble related.
Okay.
And I've just remembered it, funnily enough. Because obviously I was in work at the weekend, as I mentioned already. We raced into a 2-0 lead. Absolutely happy days. Brilliant. The Europa League dream is still alive here. If we win this, incredibly, it's all in our hands. Blah, blah, blah. So unbeaten at home against Man City this season. Amazing.
Nice.
And obviously we've played them twice. But at half time, Manchester City to win were 4-1. Now, I put a tenner on it, and I only did that. Now, listen. I put a tenner on it because I thought that's an extremely good value bet.
Oh, it's a good price, yeah.
And also that when they come back and win the game, I'll be really gutted about it, but my wounds will be salved somewhat by the fact that I'll have 40 quid that I didn't have before. And I was honestly, mate, certain. And look, let's be honest, if it wasn't for a freak Riyad Mahrez penalty miss, that's precisely what would have happened. And I got absolutely slated for it in the office. Absolutely. Betting against your own team. And it didn't change my stance at all. I was still absolutely like up buzzing when Fabianski saved the penalty. And I just wonder what your stance was. Are you going to see reason and sort of back me up a bit and be on my side? Or are you going to join in with my colleagues who were ready to hang me from the nearest lamppost?
I mean, it is a controversial one, mate. I mean, betting against your own team is bold. Some would say,
but I didn't want it to win.
But then why did you put it on there?
Right?
Some would say it's incredibly unloyal.
No, it's because I thought it would win. I didn't want it to. I thought it would.
Mark Noble would be spitting feathers if he's listening to this. He'd be like, I didn't play 18 years for this football club. Yeah, true. I didn't play 18 years for this football club. I didn't sacrifice 18 years of my life for you to bet against me. Like, that is, I don't know. But
well, he wasn't on then.
He wasn't on. But from a financial point of view, I get it.
And honestly,
that is a good price. 4-1 for them to win, even at 2-0 down. Yeah.
It was basically 4-1 for Man City to score 3 goals in a half, which they've done plenty of times before.
Yeah.
While they're chasing the Premier League title, I was like, I Craig Dawson at the back against their defenders as well. I mean, obviously we saw it with the penalty he gave away, and I didn't feel like stupid for doing it afterwards because I thought, well. Yeah, Riyad Mahrez, that was his first penalty miss in 9 or 10, I think.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So, it wasn't like a completely freaky bet. Anyway, that was just one intriguing one. I honestly thought it was a really good result. It was a strange position to be in because I've got such an affinity, sort of. I always have, really, since I was a kid, even before they were this global behemoth that they are now. I've always had an affinity for City and their fans, like before it became like the trendy thing. I always look at it and say no one who supports Man City who's my age had any choice in the fact that they got bought out by oil billionaires, right? Just like we wouldn't if it happened to West Ham. So, when people like begrudge it, I just think those are the people I think of when City do well. There's people, they were selling out Main Road or whatever, 25, 30,000 people, like home to Gillingham in the equivalent of League 1 or 2 or whatever it was, however many years ago, like within our lifetimes. And those same people who love City, who were there for those games, will still be in the Etihad now. All right, there might be more fair weather fans or tourists or whatever stick people want to beat them with. But Manchester City have got a big hardcore of supporters. They're the most supported team in Manchester, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like most of people who live in Manchester. Team, yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, if it's them or Liverpool, I want Man City to win every time for that exact reason. It's just because I always think that when my view on clubs is mostly based around what I think of their fan base, really, because that's what football's for, the fans, isn't it? That is, without fans, football's nothing. So, it was a bit of a strange one. Like, if we beat these here, obviously it's amazing for West Ham, but it'd be a shame if we deny them, like hand Liverpool the title ahead of them. So, if ever there was a game where there was a smidgen of me that didn't mind it being a draw rather than a West Ham win, it was that one. But I was just left with that little bit of disappointment at the end because the idea of, and I know we never beat Brighton, we've established that already. But the idea that going into that last game of the season, it would have been in our hands to secure Europa League again if we'd have won. Once we were 2-0 up, I was hooked then. I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And we're going to beat Brighton for the first time ever. Europa League again. Here we come. Oh, my God. Happy days. But it wasn't quite to be.
I completely agree with everything you said about City for a start. I know a lot of City fans, a lot of them who were there when they were rubbish, to put it mildly.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking to Steve on the pod last week, I asked him about Erling Haaland, probably one of the best strikers in the world right now. City have got him for the snip at 60 million quid, and I said, "How do you feel?" And he was just like, "I genuinely can't believe we've got a player of his caliber." And that's not just him going, "How did we?" I can't believe West Ham, Man City has signed him. That's coming from, how on earth have Manchester City come to this point now where we're in a position to be able to sign Erling Haaland? Yeah. Even 10 years after the Aguero goal and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I'd prefer to see them win the league. So the point, does do them a favour a little bit, but yeah, I think the top six battle. Are we asking a lot for Palace to beat United? I don't know. At Selhurst Park, so
yeah.
can be a bit of a naughty place to go with their 15 ultras in the corner.
The black t-shirt brigade.
Yeah, they love it. There's only about 15 of them, but they make a bit of noise. And then, I don't know. I mean, I've just got this feeling that we're gonna. If there's ever a time to beat Brighton, it's now, isn't it? It's this week.
We say that every season.
Yeah, I know, but there's never really been anything riding on it. Now there's something riding on it for us. And now, if there's ever a West Ham squad over the last 5 or 6 years, however long it's been since Brighton came up and decided to be our bogey team, it's this one that I would back to finally break the duck on the last day of the season to secure top 6 if Man United bottle it. So I'm quietly confident.
Mate, we've had 3 games against them.
Confident. I know.
No, stop it. Don't put yourself through it, mate.
I think it's 5 draws in a row against them in 7 meetings.
We had the best team we've had for generations or whatever, like this season and last. We've had 3 games against them with those players in that team, with Lingard and all that sort of stuff. It's just
I think twice they've got last minute.
Draw lads. Yeah.
Twice we thought we'd done it, and then Neil Murray pops up. Brighton flares on the London Stadium pitch.
I know.
What's going on here? Like, we're never going to beat this time. But I'm keeping the faith. David Moyes and those players have constantly delivered this season.
True.
Even when we've least expected it.
Yeah.
So let's have a little bit of faith. What do we say on Leon?
Let's head more heart, mate.
Exactly. And I'm taking that motto into Sunday afternoon because last game of the season, I don't want the season to end. But if it's going to end, then let's end on a high top 6 finish again. Yeah.
Fine. Well, look, just quickly then about the bits and pieces on Man City game. The goals, Jarrod Bowen's goals, both of them again, and he's getting really good at that. Just clinical finishing. So major respect for him. The runs were timed perfectly. With threat of offside on both of them. What a season he's had! What a campaign! Major soft to him. I can't wait to watch him again, week in, week out in a West Ham shirt next season. No rumours talking about him leaving, which is nice, despite the fact but as in none with any traction.
Worried about Liverpool. If Mane leaves, I'm worried.
You're joking. He's better than Mane. Well, we'll dig our heels in, no doubt, won't we? 150 million again.
600 million if it's Liverpool. Why not?
Yeah.
You ain't having him.
Sell him to City for 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant from him. Well, I'm going to say it because I know I'm always the guy. Mikel Antonio, when he's through on goal, despite having never scored a goal from outside the area in the history of football and his life, decides while he's rankly low on confidence, through on goal with Pablo Fornals, I think it was, in the middle, herring through, screaming for the ball to be passed to him. Noble behind him on the bench still at that stage, screaming at him to pass. Nope, Antonio goes, what I'll try and do is chip the goalkeeper from the corner of the penalty area with my right foot, even though it's an effort that should be hit with my left if I'm going to attempt a shot on goal. My confidence is absolutely through the floor as far as what I do in front of goal at the moment anyway. I'll do that, I think, because that will probably come off. I mean, honestly, mate, there's been so many of those recently, and people in the office giving it about hard work and all that sort of stuff. Fine. I know that's part of it, but you're a centre forward.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and there's all the other stuff, right, that I heard about him and being tired and all those things. I can sort of stomach those. How he didn't pass that is just, honestly, mate.
Or take it past the keeper like Bowen did in the first half. You run out the keeper, even if you're not going to pass it. At least try and do something that you can do.
Well, mate, that is it. Recently, right, when he's got in a few of those positions, and every time it seems like it's almost like in his head he does it. And West Ham Clips, the alternative commentary, which I know thousands of people listen to every week, do it brilliantly. And he does the thing where he's like, right, and he freeze frames it and he gives options of like, right, does he do this, and like gives options of the things he could do. It's like casually control it and pass it across to Pablo Fornals to slot into the empty net. Does he take it out round the goalkeeper who's miles out of position, use his pace and slot it into the bottom corner? Or does he attempt a ridiculous spoon chip, even though he's never scored from outside the area in his life? Oh, right. Yeah, of course it was flipping C. And it's like recently, every time he gets into dangerous positions, like the whole world pauses. He does a quick list of things ranked from most sensible to most ridiculous in his head, and then goes, well, I'll do the most ridiculous one then, or the most unlikely to produce a goal, or because I know he's always been a bit erratic, and we always used to joke and say, oh, he doesn't know what he's going to do, which makes him unpredictable because neither do the defenders. That bit's fine, but honestly, he was never this technically inept, was he?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think he's ever been like that. And it's got to the point now where he's either thinking it through too much and by then it's too late, or he's not thinking it through at all and he's making silly decisions.
Definitely the first one. Confidence just on the floor, isn't it?
That is down to confidence. And I think a lot of it was down. I think that what we saw against City on Sunday was the fact he's low on confidence and he's desperate for a goal. I know he scored against Norwich, but he's desperate for a goal. At home, he wants to get a bit of form back. That's why he's gone for goal there, because he wants to get on the score sheet. He wants.
That's not good enough, mate. That's not good enough. You're playing a team. You're playing a team. I'm not saying
it's good enough, but I reckon that's gone through his head. He's seen the keeper come off his line. He's seen the opportunity in the moment and gone, here's my moment. Instead of just taking another half a second to have a little look around him and see Fornals running through. Or, as I said before, try and take it around the keeper. Yeah. From where I was sitting.
But what I find... Sorry, go on.
It didn't look as bad. We didn't...
Oh, right.
It happened on the other side. So,
of course,
we didn't really see how much room Fornals was in. We didn't really see... we just saw him try and chip the keeper and he missed him. We're like, oh, that was unlucky. It's only when I saw the replay after the game and I was just like, I can't believe it. What's he done?
Yeah. Tragic.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I just, I mean, mate, you know what? We'll talk about another. I haven't got the energy to talk about the need for West Ham to go out and buy a striker. I haven't got the energy.
In his defence, though, in the first half, a superb assist for the second goal. Brought the ball down well, held it up well, and then saw Bowen running in behind for a good assist. So I thought overall, apart from that missed opportunity, I thought overall it was a good performance from him. I thought we caused City a lot of problems. So he made a really silly decision in that moment, but for 93 minutes of the game, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Well, not fair enough, really. I'm still quite annoyed about it, but I just find it baffling. Like exactly what you said there. He saw, oh yeah, that would be a good idea to shoot from here, and then it's like, yeah, that would be a good idea to shoot from here first time. But the amount of times this season he's got into positions, or more so recently, where the only option is to shoot first time, and he turns into someone and loses the ball. It's just like what, like what. Oh, honestly, nah. Anyway, let's move on from that. City's goal, first one, deflection, fluke, got away with it, balanced itself out, I suppose. Well, it did take a deflection, didn't it?
Took deflection. I still think it's going to go in though. I think he hit it hard enough for it to beat Fabianski, or cause him a lot of problems. So took a deflection, but I don't think it would have mattered.
All right, fine. Penalty, yes or no?
That happened right in front of us, and we were adamant that no, it wasn't a penalty. And then, so obviously, when you guys look at the screen, you're like, well, he's got to look at the screen now. So
that's a penalty, then.
So even if it's not a penalty, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
I've seen the replays, still, I'm in an hour. I think it's soft. think it's soft. I think he's gone down very, very easily, and he's almost used Dawson and his defensive technique against him by kind of falling over and used the contact.
Also known as good centre forward play, but
he's used the contact to his advantage, even though the contact was just Dawson trying to block him from getting a cross in.
But he's lunging in. Why are you lunging in?
He's lunging in, but I think it's soft. I think it's soft.
Yeah,
you can tell why in real time. And the thing that annoys me about this is that in real time, that type of supposed foul is seen as not a penalty because there's very, very minimal contact.
So I don't know, mate.
So to then look at the monitor on the side of the pitch and go, actually, that is a penalty, even though it's minimal contact. I think it's just a little bit harsh.
I just think the ref know they've got it there now, haven't they? So they let play go on.
Yeah, maybe. But if it's shown that, he's clipped his ankle when he's about to shoot or something like that, or he's taking him out, or there's a little bit arm and iron whether he's got the ball or not. Did he make contact before the player, before the ball? Then fine. But the ball was running out. He wanted to get the cross in. He's lunging a little bit, but it's not fouled him. If that's outside the area, that's not a foul.
I don't know.
So that's my stance. But
fair enough.
You're
wrong, but fair enough.
Nice.
Yeah. One thing while we're on that note, then Jonesy, I think one man I thought the other day I saw a picture of him after the game, who's had a near flawless season, is Lukasz Fabianski. And all right, it's been overshadowed by some outstanding performances from Bowen and Rice and Dawson and Cresswell. Fornell's been excellent. Zuma when he came in. But honestly, what a man. Even Areola for the Europa League games was phenomenal. It's the strongest goalkeeper department we've had for years. And Fabianski, after a little wobble last season, there was a couple of question marks, a few performances, and you were like, oh, is this the beginning of the end? He has been absolutely phenomenal this season, I think.
Yeah. I think this is probably his last season as our league goalkeeper. I think if we get Areola, they'll swap. If we keep Areola full time, I think they'll swap round. You say that, and he has had a superb season. I mean, for once, it's nice to go into a game knowing that we haven't got to worry about who's in between the sticks. But the last two games, he did it against City, and he did it against Norwich, where his ball's come in the air and he's fumbled it. Against Norwich, missed that corner that led to Sam Byram getting a rare goal, which was thankfully ruled out for a handball, and he did it against City as well. So that's crept into his game a little bit, but he's saved 4 of the 6 penalties he's faced this season. Yeah. He's pulled off some absolute worldy saves. You saw that on the highlight reel at the awards last week when they were going up for save of the season. A lot of them were his. Yeah. You're saving penalties against what you saved against City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds, I think. And three of those four teams have got very, very good penalty takers. We saved a penalty from all of them. So, superb season. You're right, it has gone under the radar a little bit, but I think this may have been his last league season for us. I think he'll be the cup keeper next year.
Wow. I mean, to be quite honest, that would just be sad. I don't think that's particularly a poor footballing decision because I think Areola has been really impressive when he's come in this year.
He's 35.
Remind me the situation with Areola on loan still.
He's on loan. Apparently, we do have an option to buy. Right. I read a report the other day that PSG have offered to subsidise his 150 grand a week wages.
Is that what he's getting? Flipping hell.
But they've offered to subsidise it so they can get him off the books at PSG.
Right.
And we can sign him full time, but they're going to pay his wages still for
a percentage of them.
Or percentage, yeah. So
if he's going to be number one, you wouldn't begrudge paying him 70 grand a week, would you?
No, exactly.
And then pay the other half or whatever.
Exactly. And I think
Fabianski's 37 as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it'd be silly as well to pass up an opportunity to bring Areola in full time and go for another goalkeeper in the market. He's been here a year.
Why would you go for another one?
It'd be silly to do that. You need another goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So you may as well pay whatever PSG want for him. which is going to be peanuts anyway. They want him off the books.
If they just want him off, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, what, 10, 15 million quid probably. Get him
or
in.
just a bigger percentage of his salary
Maybe.
or whatever, isn't it? Really, yeah.
Yeah. And he's had a year at the club. I think I saw some quotes from the other day saying he's really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He's really enjoyed playing for the club. Get him in, and then even if next year he's not number one, he's got to wait another year. You know, at least he knows the surroundings, he knows the squad, he's happy, he's settled. So I'd be very surprised if we don't do that. But then at the same time, I'd be very surprised if we do that and then don't make him number one.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. What's right? So yeah, West Ham have the option to sign the 29-year-old permanently. Yeah, Areola, 29. Again, as we're seeing from Fabianski, it's really,
you get another 10 years out of goalkeepers, didn't you?
Definitely 29. Yeah, 10 might be. Yeah,
8 years.
Yeah. Moisey's absolutely gushing about him after the game as well. One final thing. Sorry, Jones. I know we're doing this in a lot of detail here, but the West Ham scoring in that game meant that we've scored in every single home Premier League game this season. That is the first time we've done that in a campaign since 80-81. And it is the first time we have done it in the top flight since 1926-27. Hey, how's that for a zinger?
That is a zinger. I mean, I knew we'd done it with that stat, but I didn't know how long it was since we last did it. And that's what, over almost 100 years.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah. So, I'm going to credit Mark Sheehan. He's actually a Tottenham fan who I saw asked the question on. No, sorry, it wasn't. He got another stat about Mark Noble, which we'll get on in a minute. But yeah, I just saw it on Twitter. Someone said I would scored in every game. So I checked it out at work. I was like, I wonder when the last time we did that was. Yeah, 80-81, but that was in the second tier. And then, yeah, after that, 1926-27, last time we'd done that in the first division. Amazing record. Crazy. Amazing stat. Just shows how far the club has come. Jonesy, you mentioned, or you've been through all the Mark Noble stuff, how emotional it was already. Another stat that I was checking out. It was one thing. It's a strange thing because obviously if I'm in the stadium, I'm not on my phone. I'm not like looking up these things, but it was a weird situation to be in the office and like looking up all this stuff as it was interesting points were coming up from the game. Mark Noble is the English. This is quite a specific way of saying this. No other English player has played as many games or more than Mark Noble in the Premier League and not been capped by England. And I know what a travesty it is, as do you. And it sort of, that stat in itself kind of proves it, really, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got the stats in front of me here, actually. Mark Noble, so he's played 413 Premier League games. This was, I'm not sure if that was including before or after City. That was at 4:10 on Sunday. That was, that was include City. 413 then, so could go up to 414. If he goes to 414, he'll draw level with Andy Cole and Aaron Lennon. So all the players above him, Danny Murphy, Teddy Sheringham, Leighton Baines, Southgate, Shearer, Kevin Davis, Peter Crouch, Carrick, Rooney, John Terry, Defoe, Scholes, Campbell, Ferdinand Gerrard, Phil Neville, Jamie Carragher, Heskey, David James, James Milner, Lampard, Barry. That's up to Barry, who's the most Premier League games played, right? All of those people above him have got England caps. Yet Mark Noble never has. You'll have God knows how many people below him, the Jake Livermores of the world. Who else? Who's that
Ryan
defender?
Mason.
The Stephen Corkers of the world.
Ryan Mason.
Yeah, the countless
all got Tottenham connections. You notice it.
The countless England or the countless English players with far less Premier League games under their belts who've been capped by England. And it's one of those things where people mock West Ham fans in particular for always calling for it. And I think on the whole, it's probably reasonable to suggest that, he was not good enough. But 2016, he definitely should have been in that team. I know he got into the provisional squad. I saw some stats the other day comparing him with Dele Alli and a couple, I think Dyer, who was playing in midfield at the time, a couple of other midfielders who got in ahead of him. And it's just, you know, the
His stats were
idea.
better that year than
Yeah,
a lot of those
definitely.
players.
But streaks ahead, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
And
they compared him to Lallana who went, and
that's
Lallana
it.
was
Yeah,
like,
that was the other.
what on earth's he doing? Like, it should be
Mm,
back England. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and so no, definitely a travesty on that side of things. But mate, let's just quickly touch on. You've done wonders to what the send off was like at the stadium on the weekend. All the content that's been put out since has been amazing. I'll be honest, mate. One thing that I'm not going to miss at all is any more photos of Mark Noble or someone else sweeping a dressing room like he saved 1 million people from a burning building.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, we get it. That it's like one anecdote he told a while ago, and it's just been absolutely done to death, like happens so often in football. I've got absolutely no appetite to see any more pictures like that or stories about it. So that's one thing. One thing as well, and I've always said this, right? I've always said this about Noble. I always think, and as much as it's amazing what he's done, it's admirable, and you know I love it, and it's brilliant to how loyal he's been, etc. I always think Mark Noble has been about as good as West Ham and vice versa for almost the whole time he's been there. There are periods where the level of the club the club were worse than his playing abilities were. For example, when we're in the Championship, the most recent time, he's probably a bit too good to have been playing in the Championship then. And I think there's times as well where the club's level have been a smidge better than what Mark Noble has been, the last 2 seasons being the most predominant one. 2015-16, he was an integral part of that side there. But, you know, there was a few, Dave Kidd wrote in his column in The Sun on the weekend, or earlier this week, did a brilliant job, and said, you know, if he'd have been as good as Declan Rice, if he'd been better, let's not kid ourselves that he would have spent 18 years at West Ham. If he'd been streets like miles better than what he is, or considerably better than what he is. And also, by the same token, if he'd been considerably worse, or his levels had dropped off at any time, which is credit to him, that, you know, he wouldn't have been let go or sold by the club. I think it's been as much of a sort of happy coincidence that he stayed there this long. Just where West Ham and Mark Noble were, and I don't slate me for using this word, but for a long time were quite, it would be fair to say the word average was pretty, you know, we've said how average West Ham were for the last however long. And although I'm led to believe that he had several other offers, as most footballers will, throughout his West Ham career to go elsewhere. And let's not doubt that he could have picked up another 10 or 15 grand a year here or there, which isn't to be sneezed at, even though he's earned reasonably good money, 50 to 65 grand a week-ish is his average salary in his time at West Ham. Loyalty has cost him, so let's not take it away like from that side of things. But it was never like the club's interested in him. I think it was like West Brom when they were good. It's never like, oh yeah, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Man United came sniffing, did they? Or PSG, Milan, or you know.
I see the point you're making.
I'm just trying to inject a little smidge of realism into.
An
interesting point.
I don't wholly disagree with the point you're making, mate.
But you feel angry about it.
No, it's just I think a lot of people overlook the fact that okay, he'd had interest over the last 18 years from other clubs, but they overlook the fact that if that interest come at a time when a manager was interested in selling him, then he probably would have been sold, regardless if we want to stay or not. A lot of people overlook the fact that since he made his debut under Pardew, 8 or 9 different managers have come and gone in that time at West Ham, and not a single one has decided to sell him or decided you ain't good enough for me, mate. You're going.
Because they won't get much money for him, or
West Brom are interested. You're going. I'm not taking no for an answer. You're off, mate.
Like, Mark, they've offered 2.2 million quid.
Yeah, but regardless of that, like every single manager's come into the football club and seen the value that he can offer, mate. Some more often than not on the pitch, but they can see the value offers in the dressing room.
Yep.
I don't think many. I've seen a lot of fans comment like these are fans of other clubs, and I don't even think they're fans. I mean, the perfect audience for the Super League type of fans. that go, well, I don't know why you're all like gushing over him. He ain't won a trophy or anything. He's done nothing in his career. It's like, but
the people that can't see beyond what football's about.
Oh yeah, but what's you ain't won a trophy, but the actual importance to him, to the managers that he's played under, but also to West Ham and the squads that he's played in, goes beyond his own talent and what he can offer on the pitch, I think. And I think that's one of the most impressive things and one of the most overlooked things actually for Mark Noble in his career is that it's so rare to have a player like him, someone that grew up around the corner, loves the football club, literally lives and breathes the football club, is a great leader, can captain the side, cares, looks after the squad, looks after new players. It's essentially not just a captain, but also an assistant manager, almost to a certain extent. Managers, every single manager that he's played under has recognised that fact and has utilised that to the best of their ability, to the best of his ability. So I think, he may have had interest going back to the original point, but I think it's brilliant knowing the fact that not a single one of those managers had any interest in selling him, because it wouldn't have benefited them, and it probably wouldn't have benefited Mark Noble.
No, and you know what, mate? And first of all, well played. Consider me well and truly put back in my box. I'd just like to say that.
Thanks.
I'm actually glad I sort of brought that up, because to draw that out of you, because that was brilliant. You're so right. And he's mentioned before, hasn't he, that he's been asked, and he says that's the thing he's most proud of about West Ham, is the fact that 8 or 9 managers have come and gone, and that he's survived all them, and he's played under almost every single one of them. So you're right, definitely 100%, and that is overlooked. You're correct, and it's abundantly clear how he loves the club. Almost, and the new players thing is massive. That's an anecdote I've heard a few times before, of how brilliant he is with new players, and how every single one of them, he goes, make sure they're okay, not just at the club and at training, but off the pitch as well. And he's always there for a phone call if anyone ever needs anything. And
Masuaku alluded to it in his tweet, thanking him, saying, Coufal did the first man to welcome me to the football club was you. They're so underrated. For a captain and a member of the squad. So yeah,
you're so right, mate. Yeah, you're so right. And again, of course it's about more than just the fact that he was a reasonable midfielder, which he is what he was, wasn't he? Really?
No, I don't think no West
2016 he was one of the best midfielders in England, definitely.
Yeah, but no West Ham fan in the world is gonna even attempt to argue that he was a world-class midfielder in his day. That one year he was statistically the best midfielder in England.
Yeah.
But no,
one of.
Yeah,
I don't think his numbers were quite beaten.
No. But he was certainly up there and should have been in the England squad. But no one's going to argue that he was this world-class central midfielder that should have got 100 caps for England and should have been pushing Gerrard and Lampard out of the squad. Absolutely no way. But he was just a good, an average to good Premier League midfielder.
Yeah.
Who was consistent and had a lot more value to offer a football club than just his footballing ability.
Yeah, definitely. And if we are just looking at footballing ability, it still is an impressive feat.
Oh yeah,
to make as many Premier League appearances as he had, to even stay over that period of time, to stay at average Premier League midfielder level in central midfield as well. It's still an impressive feat to have done that just from a purely footballing stance.
Yeah,
you would argue that really, even Moisey sort of alluded to it. You would argue if he wanted to, and if he had the desire, and he wasn't so West Ham orientated or whatever, he could easily go. He could get a gig at Bournemouth coming up, couldn't he? Or Fulham? Or you're telling me that, and whoever comes up in the playoffs wouldn't kill to have someone with the amount of Premier League experience as Mark Noble in the team? It's like, yeah, absolutely, mate. So yeah, look, I'm glad you came back with that, because you well and truly put back in our box. One more then before we sign off, Jonesy. Favourite Mark Noble moment, or just any sort of final comments that you want to make on the topic?
It's difficult because I can't remember. It's very difficult to remember West Ham without him. So much has happened over 18 years. I think one of my favourites is when he carried Ander Herrera off the pitch in that FA Cup tie at Upton Park. Great moment. Footballing moment. I mean, every single penalty he's scored ever. The goal at Leicester was sublime. His goal against Spurs, though, in the 4-3, is the one moment where I will always look back and go, yeah, that announced him at West Ham, that goal. It's his
The
first
volley,
Premier League
or like the
volley.
half volley, or whatever it was.
Tevez chests it down and he volleys it in.
Amazing.
Obviously, we know what happened in that game, and obviously the scenes of Nobes crying on the pitch after. But that goal kind of announced him in the West Ham squad. First Premier League goal, and that kind of just set the tone for him for the rest of his rest of his career, I think. But so many moments, so many great moments. He's so many ups and downs. He's lived it like we all have, and it's going to be strange without him in that squad next year. And it's going to be strange seeing another player wearing the number 16. It's going to take some time to get used to, I think.
They were not going to retire that, are they?
Do you know what? I thought this. I thought, I wonder if they'll think of retiring. I thought, surely not. They can't retire 16.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
A bit much, but it would be weird seeing. It'd take a little bit of getting used to seeing another player wear it, because you think of number 16 at West Ham, you automatically think Noble. So, but yeah,
I still think of it weirdly. I could still think of, like, it feels like he played a lot longer in the 24 dog.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was that many seasons, was it? But I remember him in that one. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's gutted that he's leaving, but obviously delighted that he gave us so many good years, so many good years of service, and obviously wish him all the best. Hope he enjoys a holiday with his family. He keeps talking about how much he's looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he deserves it. 100% deserves it. And looking forward to seeing what he does with the club when he does finally return, and because he will come back in some capacity.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see what he does.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And obviously Soccer Aid, first of all, he's got that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Finally get his England cap.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, mate. I've got one memory of him really, really early. And weirdly, it's not for West Ham, but I remember I used to go and watch Southend quite a lot. My local team, well, they were. And when I grew up, and and I remember going to watch them. 2006 it was, at home to Hull City when Noble was on loan there. Noble only played 5 times for Hull in the league when he was there. He spoke about it before, not being that much of a success. He obviously went to Ipswich as well after that, but yeah, watching him play for Hull City at Roots Hall, and obviously like the West Ham links, I was quite excited about it, and everyone else around me's like, who the hell, why do you know that like 19-year-old Hull City midfielder or whatever he was? And I vividly remember that. It was a soaking wet, horrible evening. I can't even remember the score. Just see him like absolutely doggedly fighting for every single ball, and thinking, oh, he looks all right. Like, surely there's room for him in the team. He's got a bit of heart. He's like a little bull terrier scrabbling around everywhere. The Herrera thing was funny. I think just that, my image of him there, and I know like people laugh at it. Yeah, I know. I mean, he gave that speech, didn't he? But that last game at Upton Park, that really felt just everything about that, and him clapping the fans at the end of that game. That sort of felt special, and I think he gave the speech and he said, didn't he, that we're not run like a circus anymore. And let's be honest, at least he's run like a football club compared to the Icelandic people. His heart was in the right place. He knew what he was trying to say.
Well, at the time, it did feel like we were going forwards, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I can see why he said it at the time.
Yeah, and obviously it's sort of memes to death now. But I think what's great about all of it, and he said and it really moved me, he said at the Player Awards, he said, I've lived the dream of everyone in this room. I supported West Ham when I was young. I've played for West Ham my whole career and captained West Ham for a lot of it. He's won the playoff final. I remember the images of him there. My favourite one, probably my favourite if I had to pick, even though he wasn't, he's not on the pitch. The one of him on, whose was it? Was it Sheringham's back? There's that iconic photo.
Zamora's goal against Preston.
That's it.
He's on Sheringham's back.
That's it. Yeah. And that was amazing. That was. And that's why he's so, you know, we've chatted a few times this season, and I've really fallen back in love with West Ham this year. I mean, it was good last year, and I enjoyed it, but I did have that. Well, this could just
We
be
weren't
a flash.
there, were we? As well
No,
last season. Yeah.
no, and I really have a proper fallen back in love with West Ham. Not just because, and it's easy to hurt just because you've done all right. It's not that. It's the spirit and the players and Moisey and everyone just trying and being proud to play for the club and working hard. The results,
Unity.
yeah. And I honestly think, and I perhaps overlooked it, taking it for granted or whatever, but the hearing all the stuff and hearing him talk at the player awards, and just honestly, mate, just seeing him cry, right? We've spoken about it a lot this year. Just seeing him cry, like that obviously means a lot. You hear so much, don't you? Platitudes from players. Social media is full of players with managed accounts pumping out platitudes after games. Big 3 points onto the next one, thanks to the fans. All that sort of rubbish. The man really is one of us, isn't he? Tweeting about Grady D and Garner. You know, I'm really not happy that that's happened. You know, that's not the behaviour of a normal Premier League professional captain, is it?
Last of his kind, mate. Last of his kind.
And he hasn't done any, like Dean Garner hasn't done anything since, and Noble was wrong about it. But that's, you know, that everyone loved that, didn't they? And you think, yeah. And the bloke, you know, he lives out in Essex. He still walks up and down the high street just like a normal bloke, like so many of West Ham's fans do. And I think, like you, James, really, it's definitely been overlooked and taken for granted, certainly by me. But yeah, just hats off to you, mate. Hats off to you, Noble. Like, what a life. What a life. Obviously, he's got another, hopefully, plenty of years of him ahead. But to get to 35, yeah, he's definitely right. He's definitely right. Not one person in that stadium at the weekend can say they've lived their dream as much as Mark Noble have. So all power to you. Thanks for everything. And as Jonesy said, hope to see you around the club for many, many years in the future.